Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Nikki and
Camille.
Hey. Okay, Camille. So you got a topic you want to talk about today. Why don't you start us off?
I'm gonna attempt to not to ramble. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about was the intention of releasing. We have just passed, for us when we're filming this, is 12/12 portal. And as I was seeing with all the other healers who really channel on these portals, and whenever there's like new moon, full moon, I'm not sure which moon it is that you're supposed to do releasing, there's always an intention of release. And especially when you join one of my healing, either a group session or single session, there's always an intention of release. And I was talking to Nikki about this and one of my friends about what it is that we can actually release. Some of the things that are pretty simple to understand, like money blocks, love blocks, relationship blocks, but there's also experiences that we can release from, or even ideas and paradigms that society and our entire culture, right? And then, of course, our family, like the influences that we think we have control over, but we don't. It's just embedded into us.
Um,
So I think one of the things that is more difficult to truly understand is releasing ideas of what people have of us and how we should be. Does that resonate with anyone? Because for me, it was the idea from when I was very, very young, let's say, I don't know, 8 or 9, probably younger than that I needed to be an architect. And this wasn't necessarily the idea from my parents, but it was an idea that came from one of my elementary school teachers.
hmm.
Yeah, so there was so much influence, right? The influence because she was my teacher, she knew the best. At that time, I want to say that my teachers that I had, given the limited understanding of what were the intentions, and not to say that any of them were truly bad, but they could see that I had this one talent and then this one talent at a young age. And so they put two and two together and they told my parents at a parent teacher conference, your daughter needs to be an architect. From that point forward, that was my entire life. My junior high, my high school, my college, and my years after college, I was in the realm of architecture, nothing else. I even told my dad, like after my first semester in college, I was like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I even remember thinking when I was doing those shadowing, like when you're in high school and they say, well, you have chosen this major, we want you to go and shadow certain, those people in that career. I did like three of those in high school. Oh my God, I was so bored.
Wait,
I
and
was
you're saying
so
that this is
bored.
hard to release? Like it's hard to release this?
It was hard for me because, so let's fast forward to we're in 2023 now. Let's fast forward to 2022. I was still in the idea that I needed to pursue a career in architecture and the expanded uh, industry. So, including anywhere of construction or project management of construction or architecture. So, I was still entertaining ideas from a headhunter that I had that had seeked me out, like, I don't know, maybe from like 2017. And she like was like, hey, I want to do this project. I want to put your name on it. I was like, why? And I mean, I was astonished. I was like, wait, why? I mean, I hadn't been in the field since the crash and well, 2008 crash. I had moved into a completely different industry, but in the early years of me switching out of architecture, I was still trying to get back into architecture and the other fields. So that made sense. But I am now fully out of it for over a decade. And I swear this is the universe testing me, right? Like out of the blue. I was like, hey, remember me? I want to put you. I was like, I guess so. And of course, my heart wasn't into it. I was like, I guess if you need somebody to put their name in, go ahead. But if it's like if you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, I was like, if you absolutely need somebody, go ahead. But I'm not truly interested. So she put my name in and she came back to me about a week later and she's like, yeah, they want to put you at entry level. I was just like, oh hell no. But it was at that point I was just like, why did I even say yes?
And you said you released this already, or you haven't released anything in
I
regard?
had, well, that's what I thought. I thought I had, but I remember I was still thinking back, like hindsight, I was still during the beginning of the pandemic, still looking for jobs in architecture, even though I had been out of it still for over 10 years. Just in the back of my mind, it was just like, go ahead, just apply, just apply. You still have the knowledge, you still have this. It was that paradigm that was like really creeping up. It's like you can still do it. You're not doing anything in the spiritual world. You haven't even done, you don't have this and you don't have that. So it was this paradigm of what I had been programmed from when I was younger to do or want to do or still trying to live up to someone else's expectations. So that was something that when I realized that, I was like, oh shit, I'm still hanging on to this idea. Oh my God, it's been how long?
Yeah. I can kind of relate to that, the expectation of what you need to be, because that's literally my whole life story. And so up until like just a week, not I think this week even, it was like I kept asking in my channeling class, like, what should I do to be better in my business? Or what should I do to X, Y, and Z? And I kept getting like, oh, well, I sense that you're trying to fit yourself into, it's like you're a circle trying to fit into a square, or the other way around. Like you're like a round peg trying to fit into a square hole or something like that. And she was like, you're not meant to fit into a structure that already exists. Like you're just meant to create your own. And yet I still had this like innate desire of I want to fit in, like I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing instead of like um being different. Like I didn't want to be different because being different means you're rejected, you're not acceptable. And so even discovering my spiritual nature of like, oh, you're not, like you're from the angelic realms, I would try to find connection to people who like understood the angelic realms, but I would be scared to even present myself as that. You're in the spiritual
Mm.
world. Even me saying that, I was like, oh, that feels so entitled for some reason. And it was just like, but that's just who I am. And I'm afraid to embody who I am because of what
Mhm.
other people would think of me.
Yep, yep. And this is when we were talking about this earlier, I don't remember when, but this isn't anything that is new. And that's why I wanted to bring this up because this is something that I was called to do. I did a healing earlier, I'm pretty sure it was earlier this year, with a group of women that I truly adore and love. And I said, hey, I'm getting from all the conversation that we're having, I am getting messages from my guides and the angels that we need to do a clearing on this. And so each person had their own version of what they needed to be cleared. And some people were like, I need to clear myself of an experience or of a place. I remember one of my friends, she was having a difficult time because her divorce had just been finalized. But she was still having, even though she wanted to move on, she had already moved on. It's not like her and her ex-husband had split. They still had a great relationship. They just grew apart. So it wasn't that she wanted to let go of him really, but just that their marriage is a difficult thing. And again, like that is probably a huge thing that is difficult. So that's why I'm saying like there's experiences that you may need to release. There's places that like your home. What if your home is a place that wasn't the best place growing up? But for me, I love my home. My home is Hawaii. I will always truly love it and call it my home. That is an experience and a place I don't want to release because I have great experiences there. There may be some experiences that I didn't truly love. I don't like that it's so expensive to live there.
But that's not something you have to heal. It's just
Yeah,
a
that's not
preference. It's just a
right.
preference. So what would make it
Right.
that a place would be like somewhere that people need to release or something? Like, did they have a traumatic experience in that place or?
It was they were so holding on. Think about it like somewhere that is a small town. Like I came from a small town and I chose to move to LA for school because I wanted a bigger experience. I knew that I needed to literally leave the little rock and go to the big boulder.
Oh.
So the idea that you're either like a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond, and the experiences that you have surrounding those identities, right? And these are all different identities that are in tangent with the experience or the place or the people or the things, and even people, right? Like release your tie to people that no longer serve your greatest good. Like maybe the people that you hung out with in college or high school or they just don't have the values that you do now.
Mm.
Both your groups have evolved however they needed to evolve,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my goodness, that reminds me because I remember listening to a podcast episode and one of the guests on there, and it was I guess it was a live recording. So one of the guest speakers, he channeled on questions from the audience, and the audience said like, I'm going through like a transition and I don't really know why um I can't move forward. I think she was like looking for a new job or waiting for a new job opportunity to come through. And when he channeled, he said, I feel like you still have an identity to your old job, and that's preventing you from moving forward. So, just like you said, like sometimes you have attachments to old versions of you that no longer serve you, and it's not where you want to be moving forward, but it's like an attachment, right? Because that's who
Mhm.
you have been your whole life.
and and maybe this example is something that can bring it home. So someone who is wanting to lose some weight, they still identify, and I can honestly say this because I have been in a heavier weight before, but someone who really wants to be that in their most fit for you. So a lot of trainers or whomever you're seeing say, okay, what does it mean to be fit or healthy for you? But you write those goals down, but you still don't release the fact that you used to be that weight. So that's how you gain the weight back because you haven't released the old you.
Mm. So
Does
you
if
have,
that makes more sense, then that's how that's a more tangible thing I can probably say. It's like you lose the pounds, you find them again, right? It's because you haven't really released, like, oh, I am in the place where I want myself to be, and I visualize or I set my goal to be at this healthy part of my body, but you haven't released that idea when you are not as healthy. So really truly releasing all these iterations of you, whether it's an old version of you or what other people think and have projected on you what they feel you should be. That's why it feels like it's hard. You're like, oh, I've done that. And then it comes right back around. It's like, I thought I did work on that. What the hell? Why is it coming back to me? And that's why I wanted to talk about that, because one of my friends is going through that literal identity crisis.
Mm.
So she is in her late 30s, and both her parents have different ideas of what she needs to do for career, for job. And here I am, I'm like the one out of the box. I'm like, now is a time where you don't need to have those traditional jobs. Your parents only grew up with those being options, even though they're options for them now, but they don't even want, they're possibly not wanting to even bother with the new paradigm that could give them more money. They only want to hold on to the new, and I'm sorry, the old paradigm of this is the only way that you can make money. But the internet has given way to such new and fast paradigm of how to make money. And this is what I was telling her. I'm like,
Mm.
those are their ideas, their paradigms on how you need to earn money. You don't need to take it. You
Exactly. And this is what us as a society we're clearing right now, on a collective level. Because I remember doing an interview with one of my speakers, and she said, "Oh, well, I got a download for the money codes." And I said, "What are the money codes? I don't really know what that is. Can you explain it? Like, what are they meant to do?" And she's like, "Well, there's a component of clearing to it, and then there's a component of integrating these new like activations or energies of wealth."
can we pause?
Yeah.
I think something is
Oh
wrong.
my gosh.
What? Okay,
So
sorry for the disruption.
so I had an experience where I was interviewing one of my speakers, and she said, "Oh, I got a download of money codes." And I said, "What is that? What is this supposed to do?" And she said, "Well, the collective, we're going through old programming. And so the money code is like a clearing of all the old programming and then a download of these new wealth consciousness." And so, what you mentioned about your parents or their parents holding on to the old ways, and then they're trying to pass it on to you, and we carry that. So, the collective, all of us are carrying like poverty and these old ways of being, like old traditional jobs that no longer exist in the new world that we're moving into. So, those activations were supposed to clear those things and then download new wealth frequencies, giving us new insight and new connections and new energetic um, of availabilities to better opportunities that is now. So when you said that, I was like, that's exactly what we're doing on a collective level. Like we are just clearing these old ancestral stuff that's no longer serving us, that we're just holding on to.
Yeah, I mean, truly, the internet has brought us so many new ways to earn money. And even the pandemic, right? Like the fact that people were forced to work from home. And now those same companies are essentially forcing their workers to come back because they're losing money, because they had built these fantastical buildings. They're still paying their lease or whatever it is that they need to on a building that is empty because their people don't want to go back. But we've already proved because of the pandemic that certain jobs don't need to be in the office.
Yeah.
So still trying to hold on to these old paradigms, and people are pushing back because it's like, why? We just proved that we don't need to do it. I mean, there's, I'm not going to say it's for every industry, obviously, because you still need people to cook for you. You still need people to actually go into, like, the actual labor jobs, but the office jobs where you don't need to be in the office. I mean, oh my goodness. But yeah, so releasing ideas, releasing things that no longer serve us. It can be ideas, it can be places, it can be experiences, it can be people. So the next time that there is a moon, or someone says, oh, now's the time to do release intention ritual, whatever, think about these types of things that you're like, what is it that I want to release? Am I still hang out with people? And not gonna say it's gonna be easy because it hurts. I'm gonna say it hurts because, and it might, it's going to be something that you need to do, and especially if it's people that you need to separate from, either you can do it willingly, or the universe and your guides are just going to tear you apart and say, we gave you an opportunity and now we're going to do it for you because you didn't recognize it. Oh my God, that is so painful. um so there's ways that you can do it willingly and understand that this is part of your path, part of your journey, or the universe will just do it for you.
Yeah. And then that's the thing. If you don't make that choice, then in a future experience, you'll be presented with the same choice. And if you don't make that choice there, you'll be presented with another opportunity to make that choice until you've learned, like, oh, that was my choice. Like, that was a lesson in it for me and an opportunity for me to grow in whatever area. Just like me and boundaries, like, I could have said no, but I said yes, and that was crossing my boundaries. And so I was presented another opportunity to say no. And I said yes. And so it keeps hurting until I learn the lesson, and I stand up for myself and I say no.
But we can do it. We can survive. So it's all gonna be okay in the end. You're gonna have growing pains.
Growing pains. Yes, that is correct.
Unavoidable. Well, no. Okay. I just said they are avoidable, so they are avoidable, but you just have to be aware of what it is that you need to do. So, yeah.
Well,
Anything else?
well, I guess how about we wrap up with like a tip or tool they can use, like we did in the last one.
Well, you go first because I gotta think about that.
All right. Well, I was thinking just tune in to what you feel is triggering you in the moment. When you it's easy for us to talk about, these things that people experience because we're healers and we experience this in ourselves and in our clients all the time. But for you, when you don't have that insight, you just tune into what experience am I having right now, and does it feel uncomfortable? If it feels uncomfortable, there's something in there for you. And when you gain awareness, instead of bypassing it and say, oh, that feels uncomfortable, let me not deal with it, you sit down and you tune in and you say, there's something uncomfortable in this. What am I here to learn? And just be open. Just be open. Show me what it is that I need to release, experience, or learn. And the universe will continue to present you opportunities to see where is triggering you so you can release it, right? So you don't have to scan through your life and try to identify what me and Camille have been talking about that is happening in your life. Whatever's happening to you right now is what you need to focus on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna agree. That's a good tip. That's a very good tip. The I that is a very good tip. I think for me, I was able to realize quickly because I didn't want to experience the hurt again. What the hell did I miss? So when I was getting angry about it, it's like, why is this happening again? And it's like, okay, so what really is it that I am bothered about? And you just think about it and why. Why is it I'm bothered about this? And then you just think, okay, so how did it go? What experience did I neglect or choose to look over the last time this hurt me? Because you'll see the pattern. It's
Mhm.
a pattern of trigger. And so when is it that you're going to notice that it's a pattern? But you have to want to change first.
Mhm. The willingness to want to change is really important because, like you've experienced many times, you've probably experienced this more than me, that people are not actually willing to let go.
Nope, nope, nope. And in
It,
my healings, damn, those angels, they will call you out. They'll be like, can't do it. Can't do it. There's, especially in the group healings, they'll just totally call out those people. I mean, I can't, they can see who exactly it is. I can't. I'm in trance, but they will call out those people. It's like, there's a few of you out there that are not allowing this healing. This would be known as resistance.
Mhm.
So if you choose to not allow this healing, because you actually have to allow it, just because you're there at the healing doesn't mean that you truly want to do it. There's something that you still don't want healed.
Mhm.
So the angels in my healings anyway, they will call you out and they'll say, well, other people are here. You can choose to not allow this, but we have to move on.
Yeah. In your experience, is it a conscious choice or an unconscious choice? Because I feel like if you show up for a healing, your intention was because you wanted to heal it.
Mhm. But there's something still in their subconscious that they haven't understood what is it that's holding them back.
Oh,
And
okay. So maybe there was another
that's
layer that needed to work on before you get to that deeper layer.
yep,
Oh,
yep.
that makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Camille, for joining us and tuning in. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.